Hey everyone, it's David again, aka Coma 2000. This time with the second episode of my favorite modules in vcvrack. Last time we covered oscillators. This time I'll show you my favorite filters, naturally. So let's have some fun. Filters are really fun. So here we have some oscillators, right? We have the even VCO that we saw last week and Basal. So let's listen to that. We can turn this down. You can actually dim the mixer here so that it's not too loud. And let's listen. Undim. Okay. So here we have the even VCO. Nice. And now we're going to feed it through a filter. This is what we're going to do in this video. So instead of going straight out here, we are first going into a filter, in this case tangents from Vult, and we are going to feed the output here. And now you can hear the difference. So I will open the filter. And turn it up. Let's go. Let's add some resonance, some extra drive. So you know this effect, right? And this is what we are going to do in this video. Play around with different filters and feed some oscillators through these filters and, well, listen how they sound. And maybe one of these filters will become your favorite, one of your favorites too. So let's first see what we have here. Well, we have two oscillators. We have the even VCO and we also have Basal. And we're going to try different filters. I have Vult tangents here, as I said. We have the liquid filter here from Audible instruments, which is well, we're going to talk about it in a moment. But you know, if you want to add these modules, you just right-click, you say liquid filter, and then you can see that it's a hardware clone. So you can get this as a Mutable instruments module, and it's based on Mutable instruments ripples. So that's the name. It didn't come to me at first, but you can always check. And we have Lala here from Studio 6+1, and also the XFX F-35, well, that's a difficult name, from Blamsoft. And we are going to look at these filters in detail in this video. So let's start soon, but first let me talk about some filters in general. And again, this is inspired by Ableton's Learning Synths interactive tutorial, like the last video. So have a look at that. I have a link in the description for that, where you can try it in a non-modular environment. But if you need some extra resources, links will be down there. And the video is, of course, timestamped. So just jump ahead to the section, to the filter that you are interested in. Otherwise, let's sit back, relax, and enjoy the sounds. Let's go. Let's have a look here what we have here first, though, because I kind of didn't finish talking about these modules. Well, I told you we have the oscillators, the VCOs, which we will feed through the filters. And so that we can get some other notes than a C4, I have a sequencer here, from the basic modules here only, sequencer 3, VCA, and the quantizer. I actually covered this in my 90-minute beginner tutorial. So if you are new to vcvrack, I would recommend you to start with that. And after that, check out the oscillators tutorial and then this one. And up here, this is just for the audio output. So mixing and mastering, so to say, in a very basic manner. So we have the mind meld mixer here with the expander. I have the expander here, as you can see, because I'm sending at the maximum here, as you can see, as a send effect into plateau for some reverb. You can turn it down if you want, of course, but you will hear that it actually, let me show you, makes the sound a little bit more pleasant on YouTube. So this is without the reverb, and if I turn up the reverb, let's increase the watt here. Aha, of course you have to send the different channels. So we are at channel 1 here, so you have to send the channel 1 to aux A, and aux A is plateau, as you can see, and channel 1 is this. Like if I rename this to, let's say, 10, like tangent, and not like a nice tan that you can get in the summer, then now you will hear it. If I increase this, oh, I didn't send it. Aha, yeah, now you can hear it. Let's turn it down a little bit. Let's turn up the volume. I mean, you can play around with this, but whoa, too much. There's some resonance, as you can hear. So let's adjust this. We have some diffusion, some low cut. Now let's listen. Oh, it's a very metallic sound. What if I don't diffuse the input? Well, we can play around with plateau forever. I will definitely make a video on plateau, which is by far my favorite reverb, apart from the one built into clouds, of course, by Mutable or Audible instruments. But just as a reverb, plateau is fantastic. So let's reduce the modulation here. I've played around with this before I started recording the video, so I have some. It's not at the stock settings, but you can actually reset it, as we have learned in the beginner tutorial. You can even have presets, and let's initialize it back. Okay, wow, let's turn down the dry. That's how you do it with the sound effects, and then increase the watt to maximum, maybe, and then you can control it here and here what level you want to send. The best is here. Turn this up to maximum, turn this up to the maximum, and then you can control the send here. And what I usually do, I reduce the decay a little bit. I'm just talking about plateau, but hopefully you find this useful. And yeah, just okay. So we're back to where we were approximately now. And now let's start with filters, finally. From Ableton, if you look at the website, they come up with an example that there is music playing in the next room. And if the music is loud, you know, your neighbors are playing the music very loud, you can hear it through the wall, but the sound is quite muffled or quite dull, and you don't hear all the frequencies. And that's because the wall is acting as a filter in the real world. You know, it blocks the high frequencies out and lets only the low frequencies through. And here I have a little story, and that's when I was studying overnight. I had a time like that. I had a subwoofer under my desk, and I had music at a very, very, very quiet level playing at night. I actually had the same song on one repeat that I didn't even notice it because I was focused on my work, my studies. And at some point at 4 a.m. in the morning, I hear, maybe it was 5 a.m., I had really loud knocking on the door, and this lady stands there and says, "I will call the police." And I'm like, what is going on? And she says, like, "I can't sleep. I couldn't sleep for 5 hours because your music is so loud." And I was like, oh. And the music was still playing. And I even told her, like, I am sorry, and I will turn it off, but I thought that, listen to this, it's so quiet, you can barely hear it. But what happened is that the subwoofer was on the floor, and this very low frequencies, the bass, actually traveled through all the walls and probably all the 35 apartments that were in my building. The people couldn't sleep all night, and I didn't notice it. So, maybe put it on some pins, your subwoofer, or just turn it off at night, because these low frequencies travel through walls like crazy. And now back to VCV. Basically, you are doing this effect that you only let the low frequencies through with a so-called low-pass filter. So what a low-pass filter is doing is it cuts the frequencies above a certain threshold and lets only the low frequencies through. And the best way to show this is with a spectrometer or a spectrum analyzer. So let me add that. So we get we have an analyzer here from Bulk Audio, or we have the big version, the XL version. So let's go with the XL version so you can see it better. And now if I feed the low pass output, I press Command here, and oh, well, that's not what I wanted. Oh, let's just do it the other way around like I usually do. From the output to the input. Of course, you have to go from the output to the input. I always make this mistake, but so you go from the output to the input here. And now you can see. Let's open the filter. And what is happening here, you see, if I turn this down, the cutoff is at the maximum. Now it's letting everything through. This, I think, would be the same as not using the filter, but we can check it. Not quite, not quite. There is some effect already going on, as you can see. But if I reduce the cutoff now, then you will see that the high frequencies here are being getting quieter, and we only have the low frequencies. You can also adjust some settings here. Let's go with logarithmic, because then we can see, that's how it usually works. You can see the frequencies down here. So we have it in hertz. We have 100 hertz, 200 hertz, 400 hertz, and so on. So we are always doubling it. 1K, 2K, 3, and then 10K up to, let's say, 20K here. And that's the audible range for humans, maybe, from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. And then you can see the amplitude here. So the volume, basically, in decibels. So we have it 0, and then -12, -24, and so on. And so, as I explained to you, what the low-pass filter is doing is it's cutting out the high frequencies. Let's see with this analyzer, because maybe we can adjust some settings here even better. I actually know this one more than the other one, so let's go in here. Yes, because here you can change some smoothing so that the thing doesn't, the plot doesn't jump around so much. I like these controls here. I wish that the big one had these controls as well. So let me delete this, like that. And actually, let's undo it. Let's go back. And let's have a look at the high pass output now. So what do we have to do? We have here the square output from the even VCO, and I input it into the high pass filter this time. And now if I change the cutoff, you hear the sound is not so pleasant at the moment, so we have to play around with the knobs here. And I increase the cutoff. Have a look here. You can see that the low frequencies are being cut out, and they are getting, you can also hear it. You only hear the high frequencies. Of course, we would have to go a bit up on the VCO. So let's go up an octave. Okay. Because we didn't have many high frequencies in the first place, right? So there was not much to hear. So it's cutting out the low frequencies, obviously, and letting only the high through. As you can see it here on the plot as well. Now we have the low frequencies as well, but now we are removing them. So it comes down here. It's at minus 48 decibels, if I see it correctly. And then there is a third output here on tangents, which is the bandpass output. And what the bandpass output is doing, it's letting through frequencies only in a narrow band. So let's listen to that. We would have to go from the even VCO. And let's try the sawtooth wave this time to the bandpass. And then you can change the band, of course. And then you can do a filter sweep, of course. Of course, you can modulate all these settings. So let's say I add an LFO. I right-clicked or double-tapped. I say LFO. Let's go with the Bog Audio one. And now let's turn down the LFO. We will learn about LFOs in a future video. I have all the videos mapped out now, so I know what we are going to do. The next one will be on ADSR envelopes, but LFOs will come eventually. In total, I'm planning to do 12 videos, by the way, so this is episode 2. Stay tuned. So now we are modulating the cutoff. What can we do? Let's go down a bit. Decrease the modulation a little bit. You can get any effect, like so many different sounds that you want. So, I mean, this is fun. I can play around with this forever, but let's continue with the video. Otherwise, you won't learn anything. Now, the next knob on tangents is the resonance. So this is one of the most important controls on a filter. And what it does is that, let me show you. So we have this here. Let's change the cutoff. Let's go back to the low pass filter. And we have a cutoff frequency somewhere. And if I increase the resonance, it's here. That's the cutoff frequency. You can see it. Because what's happening when you are increasing the resonance is that it amplifies the sound right at the cutoff frequency. And because, as we will see, the filters don't cut the frequencies out abruptly at a certain point, rather it falls down, and I'll talk about this in a moment. But what the resonance is doing is right at the cutoff point, it increases the amplitude, and it colors the sound in a nice way. So make sure you play around with this resonance knob as well. Now if I turn this up, maybe turn it down here a little bit. If I turn this up, and at this point you can hear we are at 0.7. It's about usually at 60, 70%, 75. The filter goes into self-resonance, so you can hear this kind of whistling sound, and it can be a cool effect, you know, in modular synths if you want to play around with that. I don't know. I don't know, something like that. But you get the point. So what else do we have? We have the drive knob, and it just makes everything louder. So it's like an amplifier built-in VCA that we will also learn about. There's so much to learn when it comes to modular synths. So many different modules, so many different types of modules. I can't wait to tell you all about it. And I think that's about it for the general introduction. But let's continue about filters, right? Now you understand the main parameters that you can control, and on all the other filters you have almost the same parameters. Basically the difference is just the sound, because they are based on different circuitry. And as you can see, tangents is a so-called Steiner-Parker filter, or I don't know, Steiner-Parker, which is, and you know, check out Wikipedia, I will have a link, is a now defunct manufacturer of synthesizers, which was based in Salt Lake City, and well known for the so-called Synthacon. And that has a huge legacy, because the filter design that is in tangents as well is also found in many modern or current synthesizers, like the Arturia Mini Brute, for example, which does have this filter design, and it is a so-called 12 decibel per octave multimode filter, or also called two-pole filter. Yes, I had to think about this for a second. What does it mean? 12 decibel per octave multimode filter. Well, multimode just means that you have different outputs. You not only have a low-pass output. Oh, let's turn this down a little bit. We are going crazy here. You not only have a low-pass output, but also bandpass and high-pass, so different modes. And 12 decibel per octave. Oh yeah, we have the self-resonance. That's why. 12 decibel per octave means just that this fall off here after the cutoff point is going down by 12 decibels each octave. So let me show you. So if I zoom in here, you can see we have the octaves here, right? So one octave up, it's always you're doubling the frequency. So from 100 to 200, you are going up by an octave. And when you are going up by an octave, as you can see from here to here, the loudness is going down on average by 12 decibels. So that's the slope of this curve, or whatever, you know. This, if you would draw a line here, approximate it, then the curve would be this line would have a slope of -2 decibels per octave for the doubling of the frequencies here. That's the maths at the basic level behind it. And you can have other type of filters. Some of them go down by 24 decibels per octave, some only by 6. And if it goes down by 6 decibels per octave, it's called a one-pole filter generally, but I'll go into that in a moment. If it goes down by 12, like this one, it's a two-pole, and if it's by 24, then it's a four-pole filter. It's a bit more complicated, complex analysis, and so on, but maybe I'll tell you more about it in a moment. So I think that's about it for tangents, but actually let's listen to it. Let's play around with it and listen to it, how it sounds through Basal, because that's the whole point, that you try different oscillators, you try different filters, and then find the sound that you like. So let's remove this. And you can try all the different waves. Usually a square output is really great with a low-pass filter. Go down the octave here. So that's the sound. But let's hear from Basal. Let's change the modulation. Let's increase the drive here. Yeah, I mean, you have to find the settings that create the sound that you are going for. I would go with the even VCO through tangents. I think I use that almost every time. But it's worth trying other options as well, of course. So let's mute this. You could hear the reverb a little bit. And now let's have a look at the next filter, which is by Mutable Instruments, Ripples, or Audible Instruments liquid filter here in vcvrack. And you probably realize that it's the Audible Instruments and Mutable Instruments are the same thing. It's just called differently in vcvrack for some reason, and they have their own names. But you can always see what module it's based on by going here to Audible Instruments. Let's remove the text. So these are the modules. These are some of my favorite modules, and I think we are going to look at almost all of them in this video series. And then you can always see on which module this is based. So this is Platts, and let's say, what is this called? Warps, and rings, of course, and marbles, and clouds, and all that stuff that we love. But now we are going to look at the liquid filter, and it has 4 different outputs, as you can see. It has a 2-pole or 12 decibel per octave output. We just covered this, so now you know what this means. With a bandpass output, a low-pass output, and then you also have a 4-pole, 24 decibel per octave low-pass output, plus you have the same output, but with a built-in VCA, and you can adjust the gain here by feeding some voltage in here if you want. And the audio input is here, and then here you have the CV modulations for the 3 knobs that we are going to look at in a moment. So let me try it with let's say the sawtooth output from the even VCO, and let's listen to the 2-pole low-pass output, which is kind of the same type of output as the tangents we had. If I feed this in here to the analyzer, yeah, you can see that it's well, has a different shape, but who knows? Maybe that's because we have adjusted the cutoff here already. So, and let's turn down the resonance. Let's see. So, if you try to adjust it, you can see it's going down by approximately the same amount. So, and they all sound different, and the point is the sound. It's just this is just for explanation. What you want is to find a sound that you like, and well, this is the frequency. We are at 20,000 hertz. Here you can see what frequency you are at, whereas here you just have a parameter from 0 to 1. Here 1 is 20,000 hertz, which is here. And now if I go down, let's add some reverb. Okay, increase the resonance more. Then you can also modulate the frequency if you want to. This is a special control here, I suppose. So let's add the LFO back again. Let's remove the brands here and go with the VCV standard LFO. Let's try this. I mean, you can add a lot of LFOs and modulate all sorts of things. So if I add another LFO, and let's say I'm modulating the resonance. Cool. Wow. I think we have a song here. Yeah, this is how accidents happen. You just patch things in and you get some interesting sounds. We have some whistles here. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, let's get Vogue Audio LFO. This is my favorite one, this little one. The LFO, the little LFO. And let's... what did I want to do? Oh, I wanted to check this gain. And I used this LFO because it has this offset knob and scale knob. Okay. I think we can leave it at that for now. But I'm not patched into the gain output, of course, so that's why we don't hear anything. But if I do that with the 4-pole filter, let me turn this down. Wow. Now let's see what frequency we are at here. 0.27914. 0.27914. Maybe we could double this or something like that, and or you can just go by ear. Doesn't have to be so calculated all the time. Cool. All right, so I might keep building this uh, for a recording or something, or go ahead. I might actually, I save this Command S, so you have access to this on channels 2 and 3 if you want to play around with it. And let's see, have we missed anything here with the liquid filter? I don't think so. But as I promised, I wanted to tell you a little bit more about this, 2-pole and 4-pole definition. And generally, and almost always, that's what it means, that you have it's the slope. The 2-pole filter is a 12 decibel per octave cutoff slope. The 4-pole is 24 decibels. But the term itself comes from mathematics, of course, and from the analysis of complex functions, complex numbers. But if you don't, it doesn't matter. What matters is that there are certain points in the function, right? Like this is a function where it goes to infinity, and these are the poles where the function. These are the points where the function goes to infinity. So it's not stopping here, but it's shooting up. And there are certain poles, a number of poles where this happens, and that's created by various designs, filter designs by electronic engineers and module designers, and of course, not only in physical circuitry, but in the simulation here within VCVrack. So it does shape the frequency response of the filter. So it results in a different sound. And now that we have covered this theoretical part, let's look at the next filter, which is Lala from Studio 6+1. I like this one as well. There's actually a stereo version of this too. So let me show you. So we have Lala. Stereo. Here it is. Where you have 2 inputs with just a double of this. So, but you can control, with one knob, everything, both inputs, and then the high and the low pass outputs. So let me patch in well, we are going from the quantizer here, as you can see, and we are getting 0 volts, which is a great C4 note. And let's go with the low pass filter. Let's go in here. Yeah, what am I doing? We have to go to an oscillator first. So we go from this. Well, we already are going to the oscillator. And now let's see which output do we want. Let's try the even output. We haven't used that yet. So let's go into this one. We have the low pass. Let's turn it up. Let's go. Actually, you know what? Because I don't want to change what we have here already. Let's try it with Basal instead, because I want to keep this for that nice whistle sound that we had. So if I will add another even VCO instead of Basal, just because it's more versatile in this case, I think. So let's duplicate this. So it doesn't cost any money. It would be nice if this was so easy in the real world. Could just duplicate stuff. And now, if I go from the even output into Lala, the low pass in here. Okay, we have the sound. It's very good. And well, we have the volt per octave here input, right? I would like to control this a little bit, so that's why we have this quantizer here, but I'm going to duplicate this too. go here. I'll take the VCA down here. And now, actually, I duplicate this too. Now I'm just in duplication mode and a good mood because filters are really fun. And we have time to think. So let me recreate what I have here. Let's go from the quantizer into the voltage input. You see we have a C4 note. I have the C minor pentatonic scale, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes from the C minor scale. Hopefully it sounds good. And now we are from here, from the quantizer, we are going to our second even VCO that we just added. And luckily nothing is changing because we are still at C4. But yeah, it works. And we just played some music here. Oh, I have the Drunkard's Walk video. Yeah, check that one out. Basically what I'm doing there is I'm just playing around with the quantizer, turning the knobs to play like a little melody in this pentatonic scale. So that was fun. And now we are at Lala. But what I wanted to do is use this sequencer here to get some notes. So we have to go. We covered this also in the beginner's tutorial a little bit, but we'll also learn more about sequencers in the future. We have the CV1 output, which is controlled by these knobs up here. So you go from here into the quantizer. And now if I change the notes, then you can now hear that it's playing this tune, the 120 BPM. But these knobs are so sensitive because we are going from, well, as you can see, from -10 to +10 volts. So I want to reduce this range. That's why I have the VCA here. Again, a module that we haven't learned about yet, but it's actually not that complicated because basically you're just reducing the range of here with this module, with this VCA, you are reducing the range of notes, let's say by percentage. So from -10 to +10, if we go to 10%, then we are just going now from -1 to +1 volt, which is we are within 1 octave, right? So here, depending on how many percent you put, you'd say 20%, and we are playing in a range of maximum 2 octaves here. Depending on the settings here, of course, we would have to go, harder here. Let's go up by the speed. And we have a little melody playing. Let's I don't know, modulate this. Let me see so that we have a bit more variation here. Okay, so this is what we have here now. And let's increase this even more. turn up the volume here on my computer, but I could actually just turn it up here. And okay, let's look at this filter now. So here you have, it's very simple, of course. You have the frequency cutoff point here, a low pass and a high pass output, and you can also modulate the frequency here. So well, I'm just still duplicating. Let's go. Let's modulate that. And it has this attenuverter, which we haven't seen yet, I think, but we will cover that. You have the basic module, the 8-word, which we have seen, but we'll cover attenuverters and VCAs and attenuation in a future video, of course. But again, this is just adjusting the range by which this knob is moving up and down here, so we don't have to turn it with our fingers. Okay, so this is the sound that we have here now. Keep playing around with it. Maybe, you know, you can find a nice melody by changing the CV here, by playing around with the VCA, playing around with the LFO, playing around with the notes maybe, you know, that you have here. That was not good. That's it. And well, we have one more filter left that I really like, and that's the Blamsoft one. And what's so cool about the Blamsoft filter is that it has a lot of modes. So if you want to learn about the sound or hear the sound of different filter circuitries, then you can play around with it. I think, well, I don't think, I looked up the manual, which you should, of course, by always right-clicking and information and checking it out, checking out the user manual, or author email the author if you have questions. But in the manual it says that it has 35 different models, right? That's why it's called F-35. I just realized. Well, you have. Well, I'm not going to go through all of these, but you have ones. You have low pass, you have high pass, you have band pass, 6, 12, 24 dB per octave, and you have different designs. You have the Solon key, you have the state variable, transistor ladder type, diode ladder, comb filter. Yes, I have a link to that in the description, so you can read about it, what it is, the bit crusher mode and some other modes. But what I want to tell you still about is this notch filter. And what a notch filter is, but let's listen first. Well, let's listen first to, I don't know. Well, you can play around with this. Let's say this Solon key filter, low pass 12. And now we have the input. So let's go from, well, let's now go from this even output here, and let's go in here. We can hear it. Very nice. Frequency up. You have the drive knob, of course, you have the resonance. You can modulate all this with built-in attenuverters, fantastic. You can even change the mode with the CV control. That could be interesting. You can even change the mix, you know, from the original sound. So this is the mixer, built-in mixer. So we have the dry input here, 100% dry, 100% wet, or you can mix it together without the need of an extra mixer. And yes, the notch filter, but you can even, you know, combine it with the low pass, but okay. So what does the notch filter do? Well, it's kind of the opposite of the bandpass filter. What the bandpass filter is doing, it only lets through frequencies within a narrow range, you know, depending on how wide this band is. You might be able to adjust it on some filters, you might not on some others. It's a DJ style filter, right? So actually, I will show you one more filter. You have, it's from, let's go to Vult. They have some nice filters, more than tangents, of course. So let's see Vult, and let's see filters. You can see you have this Solanke filter here as well, and you have this DJ style filter, Disjoint, and it's basically a bandpass filter. So if you go from the that's the output. So you go from here to here, and now you change the frequency. Then it's sweeping through this narrow band of turn this down a little bit. We're mixing two together. It's going through a narrow band of frequencies. So let's go in here, and I'll show you. So we are like sweeping. You can see what's going on here. We're going up and down. And of course, it's not just a narrow band, because you have the cutoffs on the left and on the right, and depends, you know, how the amplitude increases or falls off for the sound. But back to the notch filter, what it's doing is the exact opposite. It's not letting through a narrow band of frequencies. Rather, it cuts out this narrow band of frequencies, and it lets in sound on the left and on the right here, so lower and higher frequencies, and it reduces or you know, almost completely cuts out this narrow band. So let's listen to that. So it's obviously completely quite different effect. Okay, we have this LFO here, so let's modulate. What is the and yeah, we have this joint here, so we have the frequency input here. I don't know, let's go this. And now let's go down. We are here on this even VCO. see. Okay. Let's, yeah, I'm getting kind of mixed up here with the, I added this extra filter, so let's put it to the end. So we have some order here. And let's get back to the XFX and just reduce the sound here. Let me finish talking about that. Okay, this is what I wanted, but you know, I should have patched in from the other one, but you know what I mean. Input. So yes, let's go from this one. Actually, let's listen to it through Basal. And now I'm just playing around here. So this is the notch filter that is being swept by this LFO, increasing the scale a little bit, which does the same as basically this knob here. And hopefully I didn't mess up all the other channels, but you know what to do if you want to go back. Just build along, or I will save it. I have saved it, and I will save another version, and if I don't forget, and then you'll have different versions of this this patch. And let's finish XFX here. We have the drive knob, the frequency knob, resonance knob, the CV controls the different types of filters, and it is stereo. So we could patch in some other oscillator here. What do we have here? We have Basal. So if I go, let's say with the, I don't know. Change the pan here. Okay, so it's 5. Let's increase the I mean, it's not the best sound, but I recommend you keep playing around with this. Maybe you can get something cool out of it. You know, change the maybe the octave here. So while we're at it, let's talk about the final filter, this DJ style filter by Vult, Disjoint. We already covered it. Basically, it's a bandpass filter where you can adjust the frequency, you can change the resonance. So we don't have any inputs here, so what shall we go with? Solo this. That's what we have here. Some resonance. Oh yeah, it's a bandpass filter, so it's cool. Well, yeah, I don't really want to change too much anymore because I like the sound. So let's finish up with this filter now. Bandpass, resonance. You can modulate the frequency, you can modulate the resonance, and you have stereo outputs. So Input, output, everything looking good. So let's listen to all the others. Let's turn this down a little bit. And now you're mixing. Now we're mixing. Let's listen to all the others. Okay, here we will have to play around a little bit with the frequencies, of course, because we are not, you know, the same key. Whatever. So we would have to like play around a little bit with this frequency modulation here. Unfortunately, this LFO doesn't have a built-in offset and scale knob. So, well, I will add the dual attenuator now. No filter. Befaco. And instead of going from here, we are going from here now. Well, you can add the tuner as well. Let's duplicate. And the hot tuner is fantastic because you not only have the voltage input, but you can also see the signal, right? Let me turn this down a little bit while we are working at it. So we are going, where are we? We are going in here, we are going out here, we are going out in here. And now we are going into channel 2 and channel 3. So channel 2 is going from the low pass filter here. So this is where we want the tuner. Changing a bit quickly. So we go by ear. But I will let you work on this because, you know, this is where it starts taking a long time. But this is the fun. Download the patch, play around with it, make a cool song, you know, have fun. And as I said, next video is coming as soon as I'm ready with it. I have the whole series mapped out, 12 episodes. Next time, envelopes. So I'm sending you my best wishes, pun intended. And don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. Thank you very much. See you in the next one. Peace.